hopping a hand for
Be careful.
and Scott Higgins, both of them coked up out of their minds.
Listen to you. He's down in the basement.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I think we should call this the Acement.
The Acement, yes.
Yeah, what do you think there, huh?
I like that. The Acement Studios.
Excuse me, I'm drinking beer. Hold on a second.
We usually drink bourbon on our end.
Yeah,
when we
right.
do the podcast, so
That's all right.
feel free to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot an 8-ball if you want. We don't care, as long as it's good stories.
Welcome to the Acement, everybody. This is Scott Higgins and an empty chair next to me. Yes, Ace Aceto is not here yet. He will be joining us shortly. Just running a little bit behind tonight, but thank you so much for joining us here. Our last show in June, our last show that we're going to be broadcasting live on Facebook Live after this week. Remember, you can join us on twitch.tv/drinks, jokes, and storytelling. That's Drinks, Jokes, the letter and storytelling. That's the channel we're on every Wednesday night at 8:30 live for the recording of our podcast. But you can still download us everywhere you get your podcast. So make sure you are continuing to subscribe. And of course, the best way to support the podcast is with those 5-star written reviews. Greatly appreciated. Some new ones this week that will get entered into our drawing that we've done this month for the Live from the Acement hoodie. So next week, live on this show, we will be pulling a name from a hat, a bowl, whatever we come up with, and we will give away a Live from the Acement or just a plain Behind the Funny hoodie, whichever one you prefer. You can reach out to us and get that. But of course, we would be remiss, or I would be remiss, for not thanking the unofficial bourbon of the Behind the Funny podcast, Jefferson's. Tonight we are enjoying Ocean, their top brand. Barrels sent all over the world to rock in the ocean, to darken the color, to deepen the taste, and we sip it here weekly. So you got to check that out. They're a great company. They got a fine selection of bourbons from a great family of distillers, so definitely check them out. So without further ado, this week we have one of our favorite things to do is bring in some comedians, toss around some different things, and see what's going on. And tonight we thought we'd bring back some guys. We were on their podcast a while ago, and their host, Brian, was a guest of ours last year, so we wanted to bring them back because we knew this would be a blast. So these guys have a podcast called the Wicked Funny Podcast that you have to check out. If you love comedy podcasts, that is one you have to download and check out because it is hilarious. And I have to definitely, when we bring them on, there's a couple of things I have to ask them about a couple of their recent episodes that I've listened to. So first guy I'm going to bring in is the host himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Brian Bowden.
Hey,
Brian.
Hi.
And so we get rolling. So welcome.
How
Welcome.
you doing? Hey.
Good, Brian. Thank you for joining us.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no. It's awesome. We've been looking forward to this. And his co-host, which I think this is the first time that this guy's been on our podcast. Frank Gazzaro is with us. Hey, Frank.
Hello. I don't know why I'm fuzzy, but I'm fuzzy. Sorry.
That's okay. I was hoping it wasn't just us looking at you. Thank you for clarifying that. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us this week. And before we get started with anything else, I got to ask Mr. Brian, I believe it was pronounced Bodine on your birthday episode. That was pretty crazy to get a birthday song sung to you.
Yeah. So
by a very famous person.
Yeah, I notoriously hate my birthday. And this year on the podcast, we decided to dedicate 3 episodes to my birthday and Katie's birthday because she has a birthday that's close to mine. So we had a nice birthday show, and Katie got us. She got me a Gary Busey. She got a Gary Busey message for my birthday. So Gary Busey came on, gave some words of encouragement, and then sang me a song.
And he did not mail it in at all. That whole his speech to you, his song. I mean, that was great, and I loved how in Gary Busey fashion he kept calling you Brian Bodine.
Yeah, I've been doing a Gary. I talk like Gary Busey on the podcast every once in a while, and like sometimes
Every once in a while.
I talk like Gary Busey as much as I can. And,
Mr. Brian Bodine.
he's like, so Mr. Brian Bodine. But I've never I do a ton of impressions, but I've never done an impression that's a character and had that person be the exact thing I thought I created about that person.
That was impressive, and of course you didn't know that was coming, so that made that even better.
No, I didn't know, and we posted the video on our Facebook page. So if anybody wants to see it, they can go see Gary Busey sing a song to me.
Well, I listened to the episode, and then of course seeing the video makes it even better, because if you watch the video on their Facebook page, watch Brian while he's singing the song. That's probably the best part.
It was mind-blowing.
Yeah, exactly. You could tell by the look on your face that this was such a surreal moment. Now,
I loved it.
Frank, you must have known that was going to happen. She must have told you about it.
I didn't know. I had no idea.
You didn't know either, so she
No.
really surprised both of you.
I was just as surprised, and I'm not quite as happy as Brian, but I was pretty happy. I was pretty excited.
How could you not? The only time you must have been happier is when you guys had Tom Hardy on.
Oh, of course.
Oh yeah. Tom Hardy.
He's a big star. He's star.
Huge. He's huge.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I mean, he was very enamored with Katie, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
We're not gonna...
Yeah. He kind of has to be, or else he'll die.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's Katie's vagina. I'm Katie's vagina.
Yeah, you guys, like I said to our audience earlier, you guys got to check out these guys' podcasts, because it is literally, there are times when I'm driving in the car listening where I almost have to pull over because I'm laughing my ass off. They are a lot of fun. Now we've had a lot of conversations with a lot of guys recently, a lot of the old Boston veterans and stuff like that, and a lot of things that have come up lately is the strange places that people seem to think comedy will work. We've all, different types of, we talk about weddings all the time, backyard parties, weird places. Where is the strangest place someone has ever had you do stand-up comedy?
I did an Irish wake one time.
Seriously.
I seriously did an Irish wake. A guy had cancer, and it was one of my friends from high school, and they got a hold of me, and they're like, do you do private parties? They lured me in. They're like, do you do private parties? And I go, yeah.
That's
go,
little misleading.
Yeah, so and then they go, birthday parties and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, birthday parties and stuff. They go, what about an Irish wake? My dad wants a comedian at his Irish wake, and it was incredible. I showed up it's like sad but happy at the same time. It was really weird. It was like you can tell people are saying goodbye to this guy for the last time, probably.
Jesus.
The priest goes up and gives a speech. His daughters go up and give a speech. The priest goes back up to give another speech, and then they brought on the comedian. And I roasted the shit out of this guy.
How can you not?
I let him have it, man.
We talk about that all the time, because I think, all of us, if you've been doing this for a while, you get asked to do a benefit show for somebody that passed away. And I did one for this firefighter that died in a fire. And we went to they did the memorial for him. Then they showed a video of him and his family. And then immediately following the video, there's not a dry eye in the place. That nobody is not crying at this point. And then the guy that's running the show, he goes, and I think at this point, we can all use a little levity. So I'm going to bring up the comedian. And I'm like, can we give him 10 minutes or something to calm down a little first? No, they brought me right up after the tribute video. And I'm like, this is just awful.
Yeah.
Frank, didn't you?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask Frank if he's done any.
You didn't do one with the kids pitcher or something?
Oh yeah, that was a fundraiser. It was actually a great cause. I don't know why my camera's fuzzy. I'm very sorry. Yeah, so it was
Did you?
I did. My regular. All right, give me a seat for fuck's sake. All right. I don't know, man. I've been messing with it for 15 minutes.
It fixed it. And now he's gone. Look at Scott.
I'm gone. Hold on. I'll fix it.
Welcome to the Wicked Funny Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Bowden. Jesus.
Isn't he the tech guy on your podcast?
Yes.
That's why we're not successful. Look at you. You guys have a nice backdrop. You got a nice. You got things on the screen live from the basement. You got graphics, and Frank is just gone at this point. He's not even fucking here, Scott. This is what I gotta deal with.
The Wicked Funny Podcast tech guy had the fuzzy camera and had to check out to fix his fuzzy camera.
And he left. He's gone. That's fantastic. Do you think he'll be able to figure out how to get back in? I don't know. No, he's gone forever.
Well, he can just click on the link again. So we'll kick it around for a few minutes. But
that's unbelievable.
Have you ever had one of those strange places where maybe it didn't go so good? Yeah, you struggled to pull it off.
Actually, no.
Because your act. I was gonna say your act is the type of act because you interact with the crowd and stuff like that. That I'm betting that you usually can pull something out of it, no matter what.
Yeah, I got some tricks up the sleeve. I know how to divert things. I know how to make it. If a show isn't going well, I'll turn it more into a conversation than a show and just kind of trick everybody into thinking I'm doing a set when I'm really just talking. Like if we were sitting around a campfire, I'd be doing the same thing. Yeah.
Well, then you have that skill set. Not everybody does. You know, I've told it on here once before. I was doing a bachelor party at a motorcycle club in Rhode Island, where you had to like knock on the door and they slide open the peephole to look out at you. And then they let us in and bar the door behind us. And in the middle of my set, they shot a gun into the ceiling. And at first I thought it was a blank, but an actual bullet hit the ceiling and plaster fell out.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there's no comeback to when they heckle you with a bullet, just so you know.
Did you get paid for it? Was that a paid gig?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was paid.
Good.
And they actually tipped us at the end of it. I'll give them that. They were actually cool at the end of it. But I literally was shitting my pants.
Yeah, well, I would too.
He's back. Mr. Fuzzy Camera's back.
Welcome back, Tech Frank.
The fuck?
Do you got to figure it out, Frank?
There he is.
I'm gonna smash. All right, I'm gonna destroy something. Hold on.
Yeah, but your camera isn't fuzzy anymore, so it worked out. Now he's gone again. This is what I do with every week, Scott.
Oh my God!
This is what I do.
He understands I can't edit a live show in post, right?
Well, you know, he's. I mean, he should know that.
Now we were talking beforehand about Zoom shows, and you did quite a few of them, and it did pretty well with them, right?
Oh yeah, I did well. Again, just turn it into a conversation, and like I was saying before, it's not what we do, but a Zoom show is an extension of comedy. You know, like acting isn't what stand-up comedy is, but you'll see stand-up comedians act. I think it's an extension just like that. Only it's a Zoom show.
Kind of like Frank is acting like an IT guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Frank.
Thanks. I have no idea what just happened. And then when I went back in a minute ago, my headset stopped working. So then I almost threw my phone, just smashed on the ground.
Yeah.
Do you want to share your story, Frank? Now of doing comedy in a weird place. Now that we're 10 minutes past that question.
Yeah, this was actually at a club. It wasn't so much the place. It was the event. It was a fundraiser for some woman had a baby that died of some weird congenital thing. It was very sad. So they started a charity for it. So it's like a great cause. So I hosted the show. I think Ray Harrington closed it out, and Derek Furtado might have featured. And so at the beginning, everyone's there, and on the stage, in the back of the stage, they had a gigantic framed picture of the baby that had died, right? And the mom gets up and gives this long talk, and then she starts just bawling, and she says, all right, I gotta go in the bathroom and just cry this out. Here's your first comedian, Frank, and then just like walked off the stage. so I went up and everyone was like, "Go F yourself." It was rough.
Yeah, you should have got rid of. Now Scott's gone. Scott's
gone.
Frank,
it's just us.
Now. Welcome
we can hijack the show.
Welcome to the Gary Busey Show. This is Gary Busey behind the funny. We're getting behind the funny. We're getting behind things. We're gonna hide behind the funny. I wish if we were in Ace's basement right now, we could be trashing the place. But hey, welcome back to the show, Scott Higgins, everybody.
Yeah. Ace leaves me with a laptop that's dead. I'm gonna blame him because it's his fault, and I just had to call him on the phone. He's on the way here, and be like, "Dude, seriously?"
Wow.
Wait, but there's no plug. You can't plug it in.
Oh, he left it upstairs.
Wait, are you at Ace's?
Oh,
house right now?
Yeah, we built this studio in his house.
Yeah, we talked about the Ace's basement while you were gone. How pretty it is.
The Acement. We this was his old office, and so we put this up in his office and built it and everything, and it's been going great until tonight.
It's tough working with idiots, isn't it, Scott?
You know what, Brian? If you ever need a co-host, I could think you and I could certainly get something launched up here.
I know. You should have seen me interview Frank. I know him too much. It was like pulling teeth, Scott. It was like pulling teeth. I hope I did the show due diligence.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. Let me see. We got some of our regulars that our friend Jen, who comes on every week. Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, Jennifer Brooks. Shout out to Jennifer Brooks.
Yeah, she's like, they hijacked the show and did a great job.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for that.
There she is.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yep.
I didn't even know this platform existed. It's cool that you can just see the things over here.
StreamYard is excellent. I'll give them a plug. They're very
it's pretty cool.
Very easy to use, intuitive. You can put the stuff, all kinds of graphics on there. People can run your show for you when your battery dies on your laptop. It's fantastic. It's got all kinds of benefits. So, Frank, I'm sure that was a riveting story about your weird, child dying show that you did.
You pretty much heard the whole thing.
Did I? I got to the end of that one.
Yeah, because I went up and I just all right, I guess.
Oh, we're going back.
You're the host of the show, so I always figure
Oh yeah, let's bring it back to the show, Frank, with the dead kid.
For a recap.
No, basically, if I always figure if, especially in a bigger show, if someone is to eat shit on a show, it's kind of the host's job to just suck it up and deal with the cold crowd, So I was like, it's just going to be one of them days. But it actually wound up going okay. They came around.
Yeah, you never know with those. Now, have you had one, Frank, where it didn't go okay? What was kind of like the worst one?
Oh yeah, I did a straight up fundraiser for a funeral once at a bar in Fall River. This was years ago. A friend of mine, I don't even know how he got this show, but it was a family where somebody had killed themselves. The guy had hung himself. We found out after the show, and they booked. They're like, we need to raise money for his funeral so he can have a funeral. So they booked a bar, the worst dive bar in Fall River, one where you drive by and be like, I don't know if I want to go in there. It doesn't look safe.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah,
a worse one than Fall River.
So it was a typical bar. There's a bar over here with chairs and high tops, and then over here it's some regular tables. So the whole bar, in that regular bar area, was packed with regulars. So everyone's just drunk and no one knows anything's going on. And the right side is just sad people. And the guy's mom, the mom of the guy who killed himself, was just sitting up front looking at the floor.
Ugh.
So we all went up and we just had to shout over the people at the bar at the people who were crying. And then the last guy who went up jokingly, at one point stood on a chair and pretended to hang himself with the mic cable.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Because we didn't know how he died. So and it was a joke. And then the lady in the front, who we didn't know at the time that was his mom, just got up and walked out the door. So
there you go, you twat. You don't like my joke?
yeah.
Oh,
And everyone there knew that was his mom. So everyone there saw the mom stand up and just leave.
well, the guy's like, well, that didn't go well.
Yeah, it was not a good thing that happened. and I was only like a year into comedy, maybe a year and a half. So I was just like, all right, I guess this is how it goes. Yeah.
And some, I've done that a couple times where you go with something on stage, in the moment, or maybe just it's part of your act, not knowing necessarily who's in the room. And you turn the entire crowd or a good chunk of them around on you.
Yeah.
I had one night where it was a fundraiser for a youth football team. I did not know the youth football team was for a Catholic school youth football team. And I did a priest raping little boys joke. And the two priests that ran the school were in the back of the room. And I did not know that. And I was the host, and this was my opening set. So I had to go back up after the first act, after the second act. And for the rest of the night, they refused to laugh or clap for me for anything that I did. I got up to a silent audience for the rest of the night. They were pissed at me for doing that. And yeah, that was my first 2 minutes on stage that I did that joke. And I shut them off immediately.
That's fantastic. Well,
it's a good exercise though to figure out how to dig yourself out.
That was about 3 years, 2 to 3 years in, so somewhat new, but not completely new. It's still, I'll chalk it up to inexperience at the time. Now I ask a lot of questions when I go into a fundraiser before I say anything stupid, because I still can do that every once in a while. So
nope, I'm showing up with a shovel, and I'm gonna dig a hole and
Oh, well, I know a lot of comedians that are like that, Brian. It's funny you say that purposely dig a hole for themselves to dig their way back out of it. And if you're good at that, it can be funny as hell when you see the guy pull himself out of it.
I like that stuff. Yeah. Like I like opening sometimes, like with something brand new. And if it goes bad, like when you can figure out how to get them back, it makes me feel more like a comic in a weird way, you know?
You know, it's there's two schools of thought. You know, Louis C.K. mentioned one time that he likes to open with his best bit and then, you know, work backwards from there to try to make his ending stronger. And whatever he closes with one night, he opens with the next night. And then I know other people that like to open with their weakest bit all the time to try to make it stronger. So I guess it depends on your style and who you are. You know, go from there. Then other people will do their newer stuff in the middle somewhere and go like that. I tend to if I have new material, I tend to do it in the beginning. I'll do it up front more because I just don't want to forget it than anything else, you know, and get it out of the way then. But, you know, it doesn't always go well when I do that.
Oh, no. Yeah. But I like to give myself as much time as I might need to dig myself out if I need to, you know?
Right. So would you say you purposely put yourself in a hole then?
I mean, I try not to go in a hole, but if I fall in one, I like to, it's like if I'm in a hole that's filling up with water, I want to have as much time as possible before the water fills up and drowns me, you know, so I can hopefully get out.
If I have a set that isn't going great, I will shift it to try to entertain myself as much as possible, regardless as to what the crowd feels about that. So like one time I was doing a benefit at this bar, and it was one of those bars where like you show up and the guy that owns the place is like, I can't shut the bar down for a comedy show. I have regulars, and the regulars are the worst people in the world. Yep. And then on top of it, all the tables are high tops, so you're eye level with everybody in the crowd. The mic was terrible. When it just wasn't a show. It was horrible. And at one point I turn and there's there was a whole thing of Fenway Park behind me, like a whole layout of Fenway Park, and I did crowd work to the panoramic crowd. And I literally faced the wall and did crowd work to the wall for like the rest of my set.
That's actually pretty brilliant.
Yeah. And now I do that like in the middle of my set now. If there's a picture on the wall, I always talk to the picture or painting. It's become a regular thing now.
Ace did something like that. There was a fundraiser one night, and I'm going to tell a story. Fuck him. He wants to be late. I'm going to tell his stories now.
Yeah. And rub your dick on everything in his house before he gets there.
Yeah, you should touch stuff with your dick.
Touch with your dick.
I walked around with his pillow stuffed between the cheeks of my ass before he got here. Wait till he gets to sleep tonight. You want to be late, you prick? That's what you get. So, there was a show, and there was this woman in the front just ruining the show for everybody. And it's a fundraiser. It's like, seriously, bitch, you're gonna ruin this for everybody? And she kept it was a Sunday night, and he's like 5-10 minutes into a set, and she starts, and he goes, hold on a minute, folks, I gotta check something. And he goes behind the curtain on the stage, but he's still got the mic. And he does like an internal monologue out loud, and he goes, why am I putting up with this shit? I could be home watching Sunday Night Football. And he does this whole for like 5 minutes backstage, and people are dying laughing. And when he came back out, they're applauding like crazy. He turned the whole place around by the time he came out from the back.
Yeah,
and
that's a fun idea.
Yeah, it was brilliant because and at first he said, I just went back there to bitch a little bit out loud and to call her a cunt. And then I started getting the laugh, so I just stuck with it for a minute, and it worked really, really well. But again, that's one of those things in the moment you don't know how it's gonna go. They could have hated you for it, or they could love you for it, but you gotta run with it. You know, you never know.
I like that.
Yeah, we do. We're like, you got to do that more often, but it's one of those things that you can't recreate some of those moments.
Yeah, you can't force that. You can't force something like that.
I know somebody who did that once at a bar in New Bedford, something similar, but instead of walking off stage, he just called her a cunt. And then people in the audience were like, I'm related to her. I'm going to murder you. And then he asked another comic to walk him to his car after the show because he was afraid.
That is a tricky one to use.
Yeah.
You got to be very tactful in using that word.
Yeah, it's a big word. It's one of the big ones.
It's a trigger word. It's a trigger word.
Jen said, I want a job where I can call someone. Well, I think she spelled it wrong on purpose. A cunt. And get away with it. LOL.
You can call people a cub at any fucking job you want, Jen.
Really? You could turn around and say you're a cub tomorrow, and you'll be fine. You won't even get reported to HR for that.
Yeah, I'd say just say it one time at work and see how it goes.
I think women should start. Women should claim back, take back that word, and use it in like a positive way with each other. The way. Like black people do with the N-word.
Yeah,
that'll be great.
That'll work.
Good idea, Frank. You should head that.
Yes, you should introduce that.
I will.
I want to see.
I'll be like,
you,
ladies.
Yes,
colleagues, go.
And you should call your group the cunt. You could be the Citizens Uniting Negative transcriptions.
I was with you until the T word.
I couldn't think of a good T word.
Citizens United. You were on a roll.
Citizens United against negative. We need a good T word.
Terminology.
Yes,
Frank.
That's why he's in charge.
That's my co-host, Scott Higgins.
And that's why he's
doing something. You see him do that?
I do stuff sometimes.
It's on video.
He can't get his camera set up right, but he can come up with a T word when you need one.
Hell yeah. Way to go, Frank.
Now, Frank, have you ever used that word on stage?
No. I've done other sort of offensive things I sort of regret, but I've never said that on stage. No.
What's the most offensive thing you've said or done on stage?
I've definitely just straight up looked at a woman in the crowd and said, fuck you. And when you say that to a crowd, I know it's not that bad, but when you say it, it just looks like a dude on a stage bullying a woman, But I know. Well, I used to do a joke. I still kind of like this idea, but I used to do a joke about how my grandfather once told me when I was really little, and he was joking, but I was like 5 years old, so I didn't know the difference. And he said, you got to be careful if you're in a bad neighborhood at night, because when the sun goes down, black people get stronger and faster, right? So, like, he probably
dropping knowledge.
So he probably said that to me, like, yeah. It was probably something where it's like, like an adult's talking to a little kid, and they say that to a little kid to make the other adults laugh. You know what I mean? And but I was relaying this story on stage once. I was hosting a show at the Comedy Connection, and so I hit the end of it, and nobody laughed. It was dead silence. And then, like, the one black woman I could see in the audience just went, "That's not even a joke." So I stopped and I looked at her. I just went, "It's fine." And I just kept talking. I didn't know what else to say, so I was like, "It's okay."
Well,
and then I went back to the green room, and I was hosting for Tony V. And Tony V was half asleep on the whole weekend. He kind of just napped on the couch until I called his name, and then he just went up and murdered. It's like I legit woke him up one night, I think. But I walked in, and he kind of like cracked an eye open, and he went, "I don't think she got the sarcasm of your joke." And then he just closed his eyes.
I have to say, I enjoyed your little racist reference that the one black lady in the audience you could see.
Oh, I didn't mean it that way. Wow, I didn't even mean it that way.
Good catch. Look,
the only one that I noticed that I could see.
Zero is Frank.
It was like 98% white people.
Oh man, he's talking about how fast they are after dark. He could only see one from the state. I mean, man, Frank,
I know.
We're learning a lot about you tonight.
I'm edgy.
I didn't know you were one of those edgy comics.
I didn't think I was either, but apparently I was. Damn.
Now, Brian, I'm not even going to ask you what the worst thing you've done on stage, because you've pretty much done probably everything at this point.
Done it all, baby.
Yeah, that's waste of time. I was opening up for Bobby Slayton for a whole weekend.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, he was awesome. He was such a great guy. And the late show Saturday, he decided to host because it was the dirty show that weekend. And he comes up to me and he goes, "I haven't heard you do anything real dirty yet this weekend." He goes, "If you don't do something raunchy and dirty, I'm going to come up on stage in the middle of your act and embarrass you in front of the entire audience." Now, that's a lot of pressure because he will do that. That's going to happen if you don't do something. So, yeah, that's when I dropped that word and did a couple other things. And it just, I don't know. It was a little rough, but you know what? Because it was the dirty show, the crowd was kind of okay with it. They expected it that night. I don't know that I would have the balls to just do it any other time.
Quick. It's like a Band-Aid. Like to drop a harsh word like that, you got to do it so quick that the crowd has no idea that it came, and by the time you figure it out, you're on to the next thing.
I once saw one of the first comedy shows I went to was the Dirty Show when I went to the Connection, and it was Lenny Clark, Bobby Slayton, Christine Hurley, and another person. And Bobby Slayton went up, and he's doing crowd work, and he was just like, I was like, how is he not? And he was killing, but I'm like, how is someone not punching him in the face? But he looked at an Asian woman in the front row at one point, and he went, "I love Asian women. Their faces remind me of light sockets." and I was just like, that's fucking hilarious. Because it doesn't even make sense when you think about it, but it's really funny. It's really
No,
funny.
Bobby Slayton was the one that said that?
Yeah. And then he looked at, there was like a boyfriend and girlfriend, like her dad or something, in the front row on the right side. And he goes, "Hey, let me ask you guys a question. When you're at Thanksgiving, do you ever look at your daughter and just imagine his balls bouncing off her chin?" and like they all laughed. Like I was like, how does he make enough? I was like, I hadn't started comedy yet, so it seemed like magic.
Now, Lenny Clark is one of those guys, though. He can say incredibly offensive things, and because he's so likable on stage, that people just are like, "Oh, Lenny, that Lenny, he's great." I've seen him say stuff that would get me thrown out of places, but he does it, and they're like, "Oh, he's just so silly."
Yeah, he has that same energy off stage. I did a show with him at the Orpheum Theater in Foxborough, and I had never met him. and he was so nice. He makes you
Yes.
feel like he's your uncle or something. Like I was like, I bet if I asked him to help me move, he'd help me move. Like that's how he comes across.
Yeah,
He's just-
exactly.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that. I went to the movies today, and he does
Guess who's here?
and he does
Hey!
the previews on the movies. What's up, Acecito? Welcome to the Aceman, bro.
Welcome to the
Welcome to my home.
All right, now Ace, here's the
All
game.
right.
Scott
Wait a minute.
Scott rubbed his dick on one thing in your house.
I already watched you motherfuckers while I was on my way home, and I know what you guys said to do. So here's the deal. If the subscribers would crush that donate button, I wouldn't need a full-time day job and we'd be able to just do this podcast every week and I could just make money doing this, but I
Right.
can't. So
But then he
I
couldn't
will
rub his
be-
dick on stuff.
I will listen. I got a black light in the other room and I will go through this fucking house with the black light to find out where he rubbed his
Oh.
nuts.
Hell
Eh,
yeah.
I would
Well-
do that also.
Although I'm going to guess that this glass might be the first place I should look.
I just rubbed the tip on the
Yeah.
edge.
Oh, nice. All right.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Try
So
Yeah.
if
some
it,
of the
if it
new-
tastes a little salty, you know
try
why.
some of the new Jefferson white scotch.
You'll notice the new frosty edge on the Jefferson
Hey,
bourbon.
I didn't realize Jefferson's was creamy.
I've never had Jefferson's Ocean. Is it good? It's good. Huh?
Oh, that's their best one.
That's what we're drinking right
That's
now.
their
Yeah,
one.
I gotta get it. I gotta get
It
it.
is.
And we're drinking it in Jefferson's Ocean glasses,
Oh, look
thanks
at that.
to the Kentucky distillery.
All right.
That's awesome.
So
Look at you guys
What-
moving on up.
what I missed.
yeah, fancy
No,
pants.
no. I actually listen.
Well-
Of all the shows that I didn't want to be late for, this was the one. And I'm settling my check at the restaurant, and I'm like, "What time is it?" And they go 8:30. I'm like, "All right, give me the fucking check. Let's go. I gotta go."
He texted me today. I should be there right at 8:30.
That's what I
What
was
time is it,
hoping
guys?
for.
What time is it?
We know.
9:16. Fucking-
Yeah.
Let's see. We've had Frank had camera failure twice
I
within
heard.
5 minutes.
Uh,
We had a computer failure here. Meanwhile, Brian's just relaxing with his homemade stogie there the whole time.
I'm
just-
just having a grand old time.
He's
Well,
he's just holding the shit down for us the whole
holding on,
time.
baby.
The whole time.
so
Those
if you
Ace,
don't,
Scott
so
did throw you under the bus about the computer failure. He was
Yeah,
like, "This is
he did.
Ace's fault.
I know,
Yeah.
I
He
know.
fucked this up."
I know, because it's hard to understand that maybe it needs the cord. I
Yeah.
don't know. Text the guy. This is what happens when I leave him up to the tech stuff.
But
Yeah.
I will say, if I did that, Brian would say, "You knew we were gonna be recording. Why wasn't it all the way charged?"
Yeah, I know.
See how I
I know.
have him trained, Scott? See how I have him trained? Granted, he still fucks up. But he knows. He knows. He knows it's coming.
I love it. I love
he
it.
knows it's coming.
So we've covered a lot of tech failures.
Yes, that's
now.
great. That's great.
We talked about weird places we've had to do comedy because
Yep.
obviously we've had the episode of the
Bad gigs.
top
For us.
12 things.
Yeah. I saw
Um,
you talk about the one where I had to go behind the
Yes,
curtain.
yes,
and,
because that's one of my favorites
yeah.
of how you turn something around, and they mentioned a couple of their
That was-
weird ones.
that was only after Brad Pierce pointed out and goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you're on bath salts."
yes about the
'Cause
lady.
The lady was out of her mind, and looks
Out.
like, and it looks
Frank's
like
gone.
Frank's having Frank's having
Frank's gone again.
more
On time.
more tech issues from Frank. When
Right
should
on
we let him in? He's in the green room. Should
No,
we
he's
make
in
him wait?
timeout. He's in timeout.
He's
We
in
leave him in
timeout.
timeout. You tell us, Brian, when you want him back. You let us know.
I don't know. I don't. Just we'll be good.
We'll be good. What, with him or without him?
Either way,
see
either
what our
way.
friend Jen said.
What? Hold on. We know Scott's in charge of editing. Yeah. Yeah, which means nothing will be edited.
I can barely handle that.
Yeah, exactly. Look, Frank's trying to figure out how to get himself back into the
Yeah, no.
stream.
Can you let him in? Because if not, he'll
Yeah.
freak out. This is
Yeah, no. I'm sorry. There he
I was
is.
trying to figure out how to maximize the screen. It did it before, and it won't do it now. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I can picture Frank on this thing. I'm in the green room. I don't know.
Yeah,
if they can know
Frank.
me in the green room.
You ready? You ready, Frank? I'm gonna make you
I'm
big.
good.
You ready?
Oh,
How's that?
hey, I'm all fuzzy. I'm good.
Yeah. Well, that's your camera. And then we'll
I-
do it for Brian.
I know.
We'll do it for Brian.
Fuzzy Frank.
Fuzzy Frank. That's his new nickname.
I'm fuzzy sometimes.
Fuzzy Frank.
There you
Sometimes
go.
I'm fuzzy.
He's adorable. He's adorable.
So did you talk at all? Did you guys talk at all about their podcast and what?
No, I was leading into that.
I was a little bit disappointed Katie couldn't make it tonight because I really wanted to hear more. How many episodes did you do about her vagina, Tom Hardy? Where did you? And
well, we did start off the show by their recent, very famous person that sang "Happy Birthday" to Brian.
Yes,
Mr. Gary Busey.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that.
I mentioned, and we talked about Brian's dead-on impressions that he does of Gary Busey and Tom Hardy.
And I want to know how did Tom Hardy?
Forrest Whitaker.
Don't get him going. Don't even give him. Don't even open the door. Don't even open the door.
We need Forrest Whitaker.
I know.
Now.
I want to see the droop. Hold on. I'm gonna make you big so I can see that droopy fucking eye. Hold on. There we go.
Welcome to the show, Ace. It's good for you to be here in your basement. This does not bode well for Frank. Episodes of Wicked Funny. All the time.
It's funny how he not only does Forrest Whitaker, but he does Forrest Whitaker as Saul Guerrero from Star Wars. I get it.
Great reference.
I get it. He's
Nice.
Saul
Wow, I
Guerrero.
didn't even know that guy's name. That's
Yeah.
deep. That's a deep cut.
Absolutely. I know my Star Wars.
Wow,
yeah,
you went
like that?
deep on that one. That's impressive.
But I want to know how does Katie how did Katie's vagina become Australian? That's what I want to know. Because
it's down under.
But Tom Hardy, the actor, is British, but somehow you made him Australian.
That's a very good point. I never noticed that, but that's a very good point.
I listened to your podcast and I'm sitting there laughing my ass off going, why is Tom Hardy Australian?
I'm gonna say it's because Brian thinks they talk the same.
moment.
Yes.
That was a very meta moment on that show.
He was born in Australia, but then moved to the east side of London at an early age. So now he talks like this all the time.
Hey, buddy.
And he sounds angry all the
And
time.
now I live in Katie's pants. It's sweaty, and it's hot, and it's sticky, and it's been the same dick for a year and a half.
You know, I've gotten multiple messages from friends because we put his name in a couple episode titles where they're like, dude, how did you guys get Tom Hardy on your podcast?
Oh my
And
God.
I was like, he lives in Katie's pants, buddy.
Yeah,
like,
right.
what are you talking about right now?
How do you answer that? Right.
You think we got Tom Hardy?
No, never mind Tom Hardy. Do you think we got Tom Hardy to come on and talk about our co-host vagina?
Right.
Yeah, I know. Like Jesus.
That would be the most amazing episode ever.
He took time off from Peaky Blinders to come on the Wicked Funny podcast.
Yeah.
To talk
Tremendous
about
show.
being a vagina.
Being a vagina, exactly. Those were some of the funniest. Those were some of the funniest episodes, and the other one was when you guys would go through the dating profiles, the Tinder and Bumble and all the dating. Like when Katie would go through some of the private messages that she would get and the conversation she would get.
Oh yeah,
I
Bananas.
was losing it. I can't believe there are guys like if I'm on Tinder or Bumble, I'm saying, "Hi, how are you? What do you do for a living? Do you want to meet for do you want to meet for a drink or a coffee?" These fucking guys are like right off the bat. You like getting eaten out? I'm like,
Yeah. You want to lick my dick? What?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
fascinates me. Stuff like that fascinates me.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of female friends, and they started posting it on Facebook. Their screenshots, and I just started asking, like, can we read these on the podcast? And right when Katie joined the show, that's when that bit started. We call it Creepy Corner.
Right.
And we just read it like a transcript, and it's so funny. Like you read it and it's one thing, but to hear two people act out a conversation. Hold on,
Right.
I have one right here. We haven't even done this one on the podcast.
All right, you got an
It's an
exclusive.
exclusive.
It's an exclusive on Behind the Funny.
And it starts out like this.
Yeah.
She goes, I don't know what the conversation was leading up to this, but
Yeah.
she goes, "I'll call you Butter." So if it's something like "I'll call you Butter," there was probably something,
Something to do
flirting.
with
they're flirting,
smearing
leading up to
butter.
it. I'll
Yeah.
call you Butter. He goes, "Sorry," and she goes, "You're on a roll," and he goes, "That's the best one yet since sliced bread." he goes, haha, you won't baguette that joke in a hurry. And then she goes,
That's funny.
That's good. Yeah.
and then she goes, I wish you would stop loafing around. And then he said, I want to stick my cock inside of you.
That's a big leap.
Right there.
That's a
that
big
is-
leap from baguette to stick my cock inside.
that
of
is
it.
like
unbelievable. The how 0 to 60 it goes.
Right.
It's
That
unbelievable.
totally went from like bread puns to fucking disgusting in one
that's like
sentence.
that's a horny guy like on the starting line, just like I think that's a pistol, and then he just went. You know,
Yeah, right,
he just
right.
dove in.
Man,
Yeah.
he is so horned up. He couldn't hold it back anymore. So, do you like to travel? Suck my cock.
Yeah.
He just couldn't stop himself.
Or he gets real riled up by bread. Maybe he might be a
Yeah,
bread guy.
evidently.
well,
He's a baker.
that I understand. A good baguette
Yeah.
will get me going.
Yeah,
Right.
At least ease in with like, oh, the yeast isn't the only thing that's rising right now. Play the fucking game.
Maybe-
I know what I'd like
you-
to bloom my yeast inside of you.
Yeah.
Brian, you got a new Zoom class.
Yeah, no shit.
How to transition from I like bread to I want to stick my cock
Yeah.
inside of you.
Yeah.
Bumble messages with Brian.
At least 3 more steps before you jump to
Yeah.
that. Right.
No, we do a whole thing about on my podcast about how I can't talk to women and how bad I am at it.
He's real bad at it.
We.
I will say,
Would you be? You got to share something embarrassing that you've said or done.
Oh, that's easy.
It's not embarrassing, Frank. Do you want to just pull up a response that I had?
If I do it, it's gonna fuck up my camera thingy.
Oh, God.
we know Frank's technology.
Yeah, he can barely
issues.
handle that.
Frank
Yeah.
can barely handle it. But like, so I'm single and it's like I'm dating, but sometimes I just don't want to go out, and I'm pretty brash, I guess, when it comes to saying.
I could summarize some stuff, like kind of.
Frank.
So this is paraphrasing, but I guarantee you, it's almost like the spirit of the message is 100% accurate, and the amount of things that he said is accurate.
Yep.
So this was one we talked about this past week on that we recorded. Someone said to him, "Do you want to go fishing?" And he went, "No." It was a woman he's talking to who wants to date him. "You want to go fishing?" And he said, "No, I hate fishing. It's too hot. The sun will be out. It's in the woods. I don't like the woods. And if it's not in the woods, there'll be other people around, and I hate them too. And I don't want to fish because I never catch fish. And if I do catch fish, you got to throw it back. And the funny thing there is, he would never keep a fish and fillet it and gut it and eat it. Like, he would never do that. So he was like this list of reasons, and the girl's just like, sorry, I didn't mean to ruin your whole day like that. You know?
Wait a minute. I got a question. He didn't bring up his IBS and how he has to poop every couple of minutes.
No, he
if he's
didn't.
in the
Way under
woods.
control, Ace. I've been doing pretty good with the IBS, man. I'm real
Dude,
regular.
I
I'm real
worked with
regular
Brian.
now.
I forgot one thing. He actually did say to her before he said anything else, he goes, "Oh man, that sounds awful." That's how he started it.
Everything Frank said was in the message. It's very accurate.
The best was the first time I took Brian up to this was in the Comedy Connection in Portland, Maine was open. I took him up and I was like, "Hey, you want to work with me? I'm headlining up there." I still have pictures from that trip on my camera too.
Oh my
And
God.
he goes, yeah. He gets in the car. We're no longer in the car for like 2 minutes. He goes, "By the way, just want to let you know, I got IBS. I got to stop to poop a lot. So I know it's a 3-hour ride, but I'm going to have to poop and I'm going to have to smoke." And literally every half hour we had to stop to either poop or smoke. Sometimes both. It was
You know
so
what's
good.
funny now?
We had such a blast that weekend because you got nothing else to do. Dude, I finally found this is how long ago it was.
A gay bar where they didn't think you were a lesbian?
No,
he hasn't found that yet.
Wait.
He has not found that yet.
There's a couple of great stories from that weekend. So do you remember this is when Hey Soul Sister by Train was a
The
big
song?
So I found the word.
No, the movie.
Oh my!
Brian and I spent the weekend writing a dirty version of Hey Soul Sister because I had just gotten
Wow.
a ukulele and I learned how to play it. And we wrote a dirty version of Hey Soul Sister. And then, yes, we did a show one night. There was an entire table of lesbian softball players who invited us.
Very redundant.
I know. Who invited us? They invited us to go out after the show. We go, where you going? They go, oh, we're going to Sticks or something like
Yeah, it
that.
was Sticks.
Sticks, right?
I thought it was a fucking pool hall.
Yeah, we thought it was a pool hall.
You said they were lesbians.
Wait,
Exactly.
We
That
go
doesn't
in-
seem like an obvious choice for
Wait,
lesbians.
we
Should go to
in.
holes.
We're
All right, sorry, God.
we go in. We're literally like the only two straight guys in the whole place. I go to walk to the bathroom. I come back. Brian is literally, you know, when Brian really gets
Yes.
going, he starts laughing and he's literally practically on the floor laughing. I go, dude, what? He goes, see that lady over there that looks like you? I go, yeah. He goes, she watched you walk by, totally checked you out. You came back from the bathroom. She realized you were a dude and she made this face. Like she was totally fucking disgusted you were a dude. He goes, but the sad part is you look just like her. And he started losing it. We had so much fun that weekend.
That's so funny.
That was good.
We went to a hookah bar. Remember that?
Yeah, Wonderland Hookah Bar.
We had a blast. Was Frank's yelling at someone? Who
This
you
is
No,
yelling?
like fucking,
This is dumb
fucking-
dog.
there's a gate, and the dog and the cat are fucking with each other through the gate. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right.
Welcome to the Wicked Funny Podcast.
It's my cat.
Anything could go wrong.
The cat's
right.
name is Jimmy Hurley.
Is it really?
That's
It really
hilarious.
is. It's Jimmy Hurley. Yeah. So like when we bring him to the vet on the paperwork, it says Jimmy Hurley.
Jimmy Hurley. Oh my god.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant.
All right, I'm
Yeah.
gonna let Scott take over because I'm gonna find those words. I have them printed out
shit.
to Hey
Oh.
Soul Sister.
Do
Hold
you have
on.
a video or anything?
No, but I do have the words. And Brian,
Yeah.
we
You guys
worked
gotta
on
sing it.
this.
Brian has a beautiful voice.
We worked
So
on
we
this
got
all weekend. I played the ukulele and Brian sang it. And I remember every once in a while he'd come up with a line and then he would fucking lose it and roll on the floor. Literally roll on the floor
That sounds
laughing.
about
Hold
right.
Yeah, why would he stay in his chair for more than 10 minutes? So
No, he's-
I'll be right back too. I'll be 5 seconds. 5 seconds. I'll be right back.
Well, welcome to the fucking Wicked Funny Podcast.
yeah.
What is it?
Welcome to Behind the Wicked with Scott and Brian.
Yeah.
It's Behind the Wicked.
I'm back.
on. Behind the wicked funny.
I forgot my juice.
Wicked behind the
Oh,
curve.
what do you got?
Well, you're drinking Fancy Pants. My favorite everyday drinking whiskey is Old Granddad.
Oh, all right. I got
Okay.
some of that. All right.
It's like my, it's my everyday, not fancy
Yeah,
stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm drinking Diet Lipton green tea mixed berry. I'm sorry, green citrus.
Okay.
That's lame.
And what are you smoking?
Brian.
Weed.
Probably atomic
Exactly.
bombs.
Good for you.
I think
Sativa.
it's called gelato.
Gelato. It's Italian weed.
It's Italian weed. That's what I said.
No, well, do you guys do weed or edibles or anything like that?
I do edibles. Last night I had 4 squares of dark chocolate, so about 20 milligrams of THC
All right.
to help me, just enough to help me fall asleep.
And you're awake.
That's what I do. It's very reasonable.
Let me tell a story though of when I first started with edibles, because I had smoked weed in the past, but I had never really done edibles.
That's a
And-
different animal.
It's very different, and
Yeah.
I was kind of warned, but I didn't heed the warning.
Mm-mm.
A buddy of mine gives me a tin of chocolate covered blueberries, and he says, "All right, eat like 2, maybe 3 at the most, and just wait and see how it affects you." So I said, "All right." So I go up to Portland, Maine, doing gigs for Rob Steen. Great room up there,
The gold room.
the Gold Room.
Yep.
Have a great
Oh yeah,
time.
we did that, didn't we?
Yep. I get back to the hotel afterwards and I cannot fall asleep. So I'm like, oh shit, I got the blueberries. So I eat 3 blueberries. Half hour later, I feel nothing. I'm like, these things don't even fucking work. So I eat 2 more.
Mm.
I wait another like 15 minutes. I'm like, I'm still feeling nothing. So I eat a couple more. Then another 15 minutes and I eat 2 more. So now I've had 9 of these in 1 hour.
400 milligrams.
Okay. No one told me that you're supposed to wait up to 2 hours for them to take full effect. So about an hour after that, I'm still laying there watching TV, and all of a sudden the entire room starts to melt. And my heartbeat is like 183. I got one hand on the wall, a foot on the floor. I'm sweating profusely. It's like March, so it's so cold in Maine. I got the windows open and everything like that. And I learned a very valuable lesson that night, and now I know.
You gotta respect them.
Yeah.
You know,
Scott only eats 2 blueberries, no matter what.
No. Usually once a month, I head up to Massachusetts to one of the dispensaries, and I pick up a few different things. And most of the time, I take a little bit to sleep. But every once in a while, on the weekend, if I'm home on a Saturday night not working, I'll take a few and a few more, and maybe a few more.
Welcome to the Wicked Behind the Cannabis podcast.
Yeah, we can do you one better than that, man.
Yeah,
for real.
Great. All right.
Our sponsor, Russ's Dank Ass Selectable Edibles, I guarantee they will taste better, they will be more potent, and they are 100 million% cheaper than anything you get at a dispensary.
Where is this? Is this your sponsor for your podcast?
Yeah.
You just send him a message and he mails them out, man. It's
really?
Yeah, like he'll send you a menu, and like they are like significantly cheaper than anything at a dispensary, and they are way better, and they just taste better. It's hard just to not eat it because he's a good baker. He's just a good like pastry chef guy. He's great. Yeah.
What is the name again? You want to give him a plug?
Russ's Dank Ass Delectable Edibles. Look him up on Facebook and then send a message.
Okay.
You heard that, folks. All right.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a funny overdose on weed story?
Yeah, let's go. I'm making you big.
One time there was a comic that called me up and they're like, Brian, I ate a bunch of weed and I don't know what's going on. And, like,
and you're the lifeline. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call Brian.
Ace, you would be surprised how many times people get a hold of me when they're
He's like the Yoda
overdose. Yeah, he's the Yoda.
He's the Yoda master that walks you through this.
I go, all right, man. How much?
It's all gonna be
I
okay.
go, how much did you have? They're like, I had 2 cookies, and I'm like, okay, 2 cookies, okay, all right, okay. So what you're gonna want to do is, do you have any type of candy in the house? Do you have any candy? And they're like, yeah. I got Swedish fish. I go, okay, get the Swedish fish. I go, is your window open? Right? It was like a spring day. I'm like, is your window open? They're like, yeah, the window's open. I go, take the fan, put it in the window. And they take the fan, they put it in the window. I go, sit in front of the fan, eat the Swedish fish. Right? And they go, okay, now what? And I'm like, I'll call you back in a half hour. And I just hung up the phone.
I
enjoy the journey.
Why is Frank? Why is Frank joining in? Because it was Frank.
No,
it wasn't me. Though I had a horrible experience a couple of weeks ago that got way out of hand.
What happened?
Kirsten Kirsten, actually my wife now. We got married.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, a couple days ago.
Congratulations.
Why would you say that now? We got a whole podcast coming out where you say that, you dope. God, it's so
oh no, I lied. We broke up. We're not even together.
We're not married yet.
It doesn't matter. It's fine.
So wait a minute, just so our audience knows, because we've had Kirsten on before. Kirsten Logan, who was on what, a year or 2 ago?
A couple of years
ago.
It was the one you guys did in Spanish.
Well, half Spanish and then half German.
Yeah, you spoke taco the whole time.
Yeah.
But she got a bag of these little gummies she did some show and there was like a food truck, but it wasn't a food truck. It was like a weed truck or whatever. I don't know. But it was supposed to be like 8 milligrams of THC or something. Very mellow, nothing big, not a big deal. So one night we're like, let's just CC out 2, watch a movie, go to bed.
Yep.
Because we might do like 20 before bed. So in like an hour, we were like, that is way fucking more than 8, like way more. Right. So she falls asleep. I go to bed and I'm laying in bed. I can't sleep because my brain's spinning. And then at one point at like 3 a.m., I was just about to sleep and I glanced out the bedroom door and she had this thing on the wall outside the door that was a circular thing that about the height of where a person's head would be.
Yeah.
And my brain connected these dots. And I swear to Christ, I saw her. I thought it was her standing in the doorway, like waving at me, trying to get my attention.
As she's laying next to you.
No, she was in a different room sleeping.
Okay.
And I sat up in bed and I went, what? And then I kind of rubbed my eyes, and then when you rub your eyes and things get kind of fuzzy for a second, it looked like her arms were waving. And then I just got terrified, and I fumbled for my phone. I shined a light on it, and then it went away. And then I drank like half a bottle of whiskey, and I went to sleep because I was freaking out. Yeah.
All of a sudden, she looked like one of those car dealership things.
Yeah, it was really a lot like that.
Maybe that was a paranormal experience.
Yeah, right. We should have Tom Stewart investigate.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe. Come turn on some night vision goggles.
Frank got so high he fucked a coat rack.
But man, it feels so good when you are high. I would fuck a coat rack. If there's a hole in it, I'll do it. When you're high, it's way better.
So, do you want to hear these amazing lyrics?
Well,
Yes.
Did you rename the song from Hey Soul Sister?
Yeah, it was called "I Want to Fuck Your Sister."
Yeah.
Very artful.
Very subtle.
Again, this is an explicit podcast.
Now,
This is probably more explicit than we normally get.
I don't know if you can hold that up.
Yeah,
But these aren't just written lyrics, folks. They are typed out.
because we wrote them out, and then I went home and put them on a fucking Word document. So
Yeah.
But
they're
you
written out.
typed them out like a lyric sheet.
I did. You
Yeah,
ready?
man. We're
So you remember "Hey Soul Sister" by Train? Your lipstick stains on my penis with its purple veins. You know when I'm excited, this feeling I can't hide it. I'm about to explode. Ho 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 ho. Wait, it gets better. I'm so obsessed with her fun bags in that tight black dress. Oh yes. I want to see those titties, stick my cock inside her kitty and her asshole. Ho, 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 ho. This is the first time Brian's heard this in about 12 years. I want to fuck your sister while we listen to Mr. Mister on the radio stereo. Come suck my cock so I can blow my load. Want to fuck your sister. She don't know, but she's going to get sprayed with goo tonight. Spray. Hey. All right. You ready?
This keeps getting
I'm
worse.
gonna blow my load on her boobies while I lick between her toes. This feeling, I can't hide it. Don't knock it till you tried it. Your sister's a hoe. Ho, ho, ho. She's such a... I can't even read the rest of this. It's so bad.
Well, it's been fun while we've been on Twitch TV.
I know. Again, this is what happens when comics get bored with a
This thing about
ukulele.
Twitches. It's about a Twitch.
I don't know if I should read the rest because it goes beyond.
Oh,
explicit.
you're worried about it now?
I mean, it started pretty heavy. If you're going to get in trouble, you're already in trouble.
No,
I was going to say, we're already in the deep side of the pool.
just because I remember Brian laughing at this next line. She's such a slut. She lets black guys put it in her bubble butt. She's got tons of VDs. That's okay with me, because I got some too. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I want to fuck your sister. She'll scream loudly as I fist her. I'll go to the wrist. She can't resist. I'll make her my handheld puppet, bitch. I want to fuck your sister. She's never a resistor. She'll put up a fight. Oh my God. It started with a hug. Now she's face down on a rug with me. We moved up to the bed. That's where she gave me awesome head. You see, she's a filthy freak, and so am I. I stuck my tongue into her brown eye.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. Can you tell which ones were written by me and which ones were written by Brian?
Not anymore.
Kinda.
Not anymore.
Felt so good. I can't deny. I want to fuck your sister. It'll start with naked twister. Got her on speed dial. You're in denial. Takes loads on her face with a big old smile. I want to fuck your sister. I swear I've never kissed her because her lips have sores. She's a fucking whore. Keeps me coming back for more. I want to fuck your sister. My cum shots never missed her. Here's a Brian line. When I pump it in her sweet vagina, it's mine. That's it.
Wow. You guys got to record that, man. You got to record that.
Do you know what's funny? We did play it one time at the Comedy Connection Christmas party.
Oh,
Actually, we did it at the Christmas party, and we did it one time on the hardcore show.
Yeah.
We did it a couple of times. It was pretty fun. The audience at the hardcore show loved it. That was definitely
when I was in Vegas
mhm.
and I did that spot just before
I think we lost about 400 subscribers today.
before Train performed.
Yes.
Their version of Hey Soul Sister went nothing like that.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you showed it, you played it for them or something.
But I wish I would have known. This is the first time I've heard it.
This
Frank.
was literally
first time I've heard it.
This was literally
I've heard it.
Look, I'm going to throw this out there. Scott is a very good producer. I think you could really produce this single. You guys could record it. Ace plays the uke and Brian could sing it. You could both sing it. Can you harmonize together?
yeah, we
And
could. We actually did. At least we think we did in the hotel room that week.
I mean, this sounds
but
like
we don't remember much.
It sounds like a good opportunity.
But every time we would come up with a funny line, Brian would just roll on the floor laughing for like 10 minutes and go, "That's fucking awesome."
We'll put it on iTunes with an intro by Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Brian would roll on
and donate
roll
all
the-
the money to charity.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then nobody can cancel you because it's for charity.
For
Exactly.
STDs. No, listen, no one can cancel us because honestly, we have made it very, very known that this is an explicit podcast. Some of them are more explicit than others. We knew that having you guys on would make it ultimate explicit. So, you know.
Yeah. Way to save it in an hour and 13 minutes in, Ace.
Yeah. But really, the reason Brian rolls on the floor with every line is because no one makes him laugh harder than him.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well,
That was fucking hilarious.
he was.
I'm not shitting on you. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry. You don't make yourself laugh.
If you remember, it rained that weekend, so we had absolutely nothing to do but write that song and go visit Bob Marley's mom at the main mall. Remember, we went to go see Bob Marley's mom selling the CDs.
Did you really?
Yes. Yes.
Fucking Bob Marley got his own motherfucking kiosk in the mall in Maine.
Yep, and his mom.
Are you okay?
Merch and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Frank, you got a lot of shit going down in your house.
I
today.
just heard a bunch of stuff. I don't know what's going on. Are you all right over there?
Is that Kirsten?
Is it Kirsten?
That's her. She's somewhere. Are you okay? No, you're all right. Are you okay? All right. It looks sound like you fell down or something. Okay, we're up.
She can pop by and say hello.
Hey, Kirsten.
Hey, Kirsten.
They said hello.
Oh, we're in.
She said hello. She's like cooking or doing. She's all kinds of doings happening over there.
All
She's
right.
coked up out of her mind. Coked up out of her mind.
Yeah, she's just got a couple rails. She'll be all right.
Yeah,
she's
all
all
right. That's fine.
Oh my God.
So, did you talk about funny bad gigs?
Well, we talked about weird places to do gigs. We
Yeah.
can do funny bad gigs.
But you told them about the whole, concept of how that came about, the episode.
no,
the
we
12.
didn't get
No?
into it too deep yet because we had crashing cameras and everything else going on.
Right,
at that point.
So you guys know we had a panel show a couple of years ago. We may have talked about it on your podcast, but we had a panel show. We had Mike McCarthy and John Parada, and we talked about funny bad gigs. We tried to come up with like a list of the top 10 things that as a comic, when you walk in, it's going to be a shitty gig when one of these things happens. And we actually came up, we couldn't narrow it down beyond a list of 12. So you may have talked about it, like doing the sports bar, during playoffs where they don't want to shut off the TV.
Yeah.
Or there's kids at the show, or
Well-
there's no
Ugh.
stage.
And
or,
I forgot which one of you said it earlier when you do a show in a bar where the regulars, it was you, Brian.
Yeah.
the regular.
They have the regulars. They didn't even know there was going to be a show that night.
and they didn't want to tell them.
Right.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
well, we can't kick them out. We got to keep.
That's what Brian said earlier. He goes,
Yeah.
these are our regulars. We can't ask them to leave.
yeah, right.
And they're the worst people there.
Absolutely, because they didn't come for the comedy.
Yeah, we talked about like at weddings, it never seems to work.
Yep.
Oh no.
No.
You know, have you ever done a wedding before?
Somebody asked me during the pandemic if I could do a wedding,
Yep.
and I priced them way out because I didn't want
Mhm.
to do it.
Well, because that's the thing. If you're gonna have to do something like that, might as well make some
Yeah,
money
like,
doing
like
it.
there are certain shows where if you see me on the show, I'm
Yeah,
getting
it's
paid,
$5,000,
Yeah.
and then if you do it, you're like, all right, it sucked, but I made $5.
baby. Yeah. But
I
all
did
right.
it. I did it once with Cal Verducci early in my career, and Cal's like, "Oh, they said the kids are going to be in this other room. They got games for them,
Mhm.
and it's just going to be for the adults." No, it wasn't. The kids were running in front of us. One kid
Yeah.
ran up and he was pulling the microphone cord,
Yeah,
and it was just, it was absolutely
Yeah.
horrible. It was
Yeah.
horrible.
yeah. Those are the kind of situations where you're like, yeah. I did a wedding once, and they sold it to me as, you are literally their favorite comic. They've come to see you a bunch of times. It would be so awesome for you to be there. Yeah, I'm their favorite comic. And maybe some of the wedding party likes me, but the other 400 people in the audience, like Uncle Vito, are going, what the fuck is this clown doing up here?
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the dollar dance. You
Yeah.
know,
This
like, they
man's
don't
giving a really
understand
long
it.
speech.
Yeah, exactly.
Uncle
Exactly.
Vito, could
Or-
you be more stereotypical
Yeah.
of a Rhode Island wedding?
It wasn't
Uncle
Italian.
Vito.
It wasn't
They're like, hey,
Italian.
a gabagoosh. Hey.
Hey.
Whoa.
It's fucking serious over here. This guy.
It's a very difficult.
So I get
situation.
requests all the time for weddings and shit. 'Cause
Really?
I have a gig salad account that I haven't used in forever,
Oh yeah, I
So
haven't been on that in a while. Yeah.
but I just
I-
never close it. So like once a month I get messages and
email?
they'll be like, hey, we're looking for a comic to do a wedding. It's at
Yeah.
4 p.m. for a bunch of Jewish people and they're marrying a bunch of Muslim people and we want you to do cultural humor. Like
Yeah.
crazy
Yep.
shit.
Wait.
Yeah,
Crazy shit.
You're
Like-
100% right. I'm on Gig
Wait.
Salad too, and I never took the account down. And that's all you get is stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's a request.
And every one of them. What is she fucking?
Are you okay?
What
Is she
doing?
building shelves back there?
Are you all right? Seriously?
What the
She-
fuck is going on, Frank?
Jesus.
She's doing construction in
Yeah,
that.
no-
I was positive she was going to walk by like bleeding or something. But,
I didn't
but yeah,
realize she was a
Ugh.
jackhammer
Yeah.
operator.
apparently.
Did you guys realize that there's
Sorry.
an open door behind Frank that he can
Yeah,
open?
right.
I can't
No.
close it because of the gate.
There's a
No, didn't
gate
pick
that
up
he has
on
to
that.
take. There's a
Yeah.
Pick up on that.
2-second
Take the
gate
gate down and then close the door.
Collapsible
Yeah, but then the
gate.
cats can't get in or out, and then they're going to poop on pee on the floor and stuff.
Yeah. It's,
Wow. Married
But the
people
point is,
problems.
Gig Salad, the normal, most of the shit from Gig Salad is absolutely insane.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
That's
always
great,
it's
yeah.
always crazy requests,
And they don't want to pay
for
anything.
$50.
Yeah,
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 right?
yeah. And
Yeah,
it'll be
we
things
want
where
you-
it's
We want you to skydive in to Fort
Yeah.
Adams Park and do an outdoor show for 4,000 people. We only have a $50 budget.
Yeah, can you do an hour and a half?
Yeah, for
And we have
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah.
It'll be good
Yeah.
exposure.
Yes, yes.
yeah, yeah.
Anybody that tells you it's going to be good exposure can go fuck themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, you run away.
Yeah,
You
right.
run.
If you say
Yeah.
you come do comedy, it'll be exposure. Fuck
Yeah.
you. I'm not.
I
doing
got
it.
exposure. You know what's better exposure? Running down Broad Street naked.
Yeah.
You know?
The
That's
money better be
exposure.
fucking crazy.
Right.
Crazy,
Exactly.
yeah.
And that's but that comes with experience. When you're new, you're so hard up for work that you're like, oh yeah, I'll do something for $50. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
then all
I've
of a
done a
sudden-
bunch of those.
You realize how horrendous an experience it is. So I've told the story on the podcast before, but tonight I happen to have a dinner program with one of my, with a bunch of my customers. Some of them were from a local community health center. And I asked them, were you at the 50th anniversary? And they were like, yeah, we were there. And I was like, do you remember the comic that they hired? And the girl goes, no. I go, you know why you don't remember him? Because as soon as they introduced him, they said, hey, folks, by the way, the dessert table is out in the atrium. And 450 out of 500 people got up and walked out of the fucking room to get dessert. And the comic did comedy in front of 50 people spread out around a 10 million square foot ballroom. And it was me. And I was like, yeah, it was the worst experience in my 32 years of doing comedy. So glad you went to go get dessert, because at least you didn't see me suck ass.
I hope the molten lava cake was worth it, you fuckers.
No,
Look what I'm sending, guys. I'm sending that to National
exposure
Grid.
gig.
Exposure gig. This is a gig I did for. You guys don't understand, National Grid. You can't turn off the lights. I did that gig for exposure, and there it is.
Look at Brian's a prop comic.
It's exposure gig, you guys.
I once did one of those gig salad gigs with a couple friends, and it was like I might have been like 11 or 12 months in, and my buddy got this gig salad gig.
Yep.
And the description was something like, we rented the function room in a church. It's this lady's like birthday. She loves comedy. Let's do a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out when we got there, they didn't rent the room in the church. It was a church function in the basement of this like Southern Baptist church. And there was all these old people. There was a buffet, like a potluck thing. There were like 50 kids running around, and none of them wanted to hear dick jokes.
Yeah.
And when you're 11 or 12 months into comedy, that's all you have is dick jokes.
That's all you have, right?
Yeah.
And the guy was like, stretch out, do 25. And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I literally watched all these like old black women who looked like grandmas just like looking at me like going, no.
Yeah, no.
For 25 minutes.
I'm going to be
It
praying
was-
for you tomorrow morning, son.
Yeah, it was
That's it.
bad.
Yeah. They don't
But I got
realize
$50.
they don't realize the positions. You know, we've said it before. Comedy is not like a music act. You can't put comedy in the background. You can't turn around and say, oh, no one needs to pay attention. It's just background stuff.
Right.
That's
yeah.
not what comedy is. You can get up there and sing 4 or 5 Eagles songs in the background, and people will turn around when you're done with each song and clap. They don't have to pay attention. They know the fucking words. But when you're doing comedy, people need to be paying attention to the words. You have to have engagement with the audience. And that's why when people put us in those situations like, oh, hey, so you're a surprise. No one knows it's going to be comedy. You're going to come out and start doing your act, and everyone's going to love it. No.
Yeah.
That's
No.
not the way it works, you know? But we still do it. We love it. We still, you know, you still take the gigs sometimes.
That's why there are some guys, and the late great Rich Seisel used to do it all the time. This corporate chameleon thing, where he would be hired by these corporations, and he would dress up in a suit, and they would introduce him as the new VP of sales or something like that.
Yeah.
And he would go out and do a presentation on a new sales technique or a new product that made no sense.
Yeah.
And, you know, do a whole thing and confuse the crowd. And then they would say how, oh, this guy's a comedian type of thing.
Right.
Now that's a little different.
No, that's different. I've gotten
corporate
hired for those.
imposter.
That's like an Andy Kaufman kind of thing. Almost.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
I've gotten hired for some of those, and I have them introduce me as like the new chief financial officer.
Right.
And I
right.
start talking about how we got to cut back on toilet paper and paper towels and
Stupid
stuff.
things.
And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, after like 10 minutes, you break out of it and you start just doing comedy.
But you got their attention.
You
got
have to
them
get their
focused,
attention
right.
first, but it's different than just being put up there in an uncomfortable situation. Or how many times have you done a gig where you tell them, I need a stage, I need a light, I need sound, and all of a sudden you get there and they're like, oh yeah, you'll be behind the podium. Yeah, you can't do comedy behind a podium. It doesn't work that way.
There
right?
goes Frank again.
Yeah.
I'm still. Can you hear me? I'm still
Yes.
here.
Yes,
yeah.
we can hear you, Frank.
God.
Go ahead.
Now we can't.
Now we can't. Kirsten just unplugged his computer. Said, "Fuck you, you're done."
She goes, that's enough.
She said the burritos are done. Come eat, Frank.
That's
I'll
enough.
play.
Enough playing with your friends for the night.
Oh my god.
Podcast is over.
So fucking.
Well, the reason we bring up the you know it's a bad gig when is because we like to, as we wrap up the podcast, ask our friends for the funny bad gig story, which is the one that's not so funny. the night it's happening.
Yeah,
Maybe one of those ones.
Comedy.
Yeah, maybe one of those ones that you say, you know what? I think Enterprise Rent-A-Car is hiring. Maybe they have a good program I could look into. But then a couple weeks later, as you're hanging out with the guys at another show, this is your story that one-ups all their stories.
Right.
Yeah. Do you want that one now?
Yeah. That's what. Thank you for following the lead up.
No, Brian right now is going, fucking Frank, you
No,
dropped
I'm trying
over
to
the wrong
think.
time.
He just texted me. I don't think he's coming back. He sucks. And I don't have like, I mean, we've all done bad gigs. I think the one where,
But one of those ones you tell the guys that's just a funny.
Yeah, like when you're in the
Funny one.
green room, right?
oh yeah, the one where I had to lock myself in a manager's office to get paid.
That's right. You know,
Yeah.
I've heard this story from both sides, which is kind of fun.
Really?
Why? You
Yeah,
heard
because
it?
I once spoke.
You talked to the manager?
I've done shows with the person he's about to talk about, and he was like, yeah, Brian was locked himself in an office. and I was like, I think I heard this story from the other end. Yeah.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, so I had a guarantee to go do a show, and the guy that booked me was like, "Yeah, man, just guarantee." He goes, "Yeah, I can do that for you, right?" And it was literally just enough money for gas and a hotel room. If the show went south, at least I can cover my losses,
Right.
whatever. And so we go to the show. And it's me, Corey Guglietti, and Ryan Waning was on the show. And then we get there, and the booker goes, "Hey, man," goes, "I got bad news, man. Not a lot of people are coming to the show." And I'm like, "All right." I'm like, well, we still got the guarantee, so whatever you want to do, you know?
Right.
And he's like, "All right, man." He goes, "I'll talk to the manager, see what we're gonna do." So he brings me to go talk to the manager of the whole venue, right? So you got the booker and the manager.
So
the manager,
he's the booker.
yeah, so now the manager goes, "No, man." He goes, "If you guys want to just do the show in the other room, you can go open up for the band." So there's a bar where we were going to do the show, and then there's a big rock concert hall where they were having like an 80s cover band. They were actually called Once Bitten, Twice Shy, which is the Great White cover
Yeah,
band.
that's
Nice.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a Great White cover band.
Yeah.
They don't come around here.
Yeah,
No,
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 not at
no.
all. Not in Rhode
Not at
Island.
all. So,
Took Frank a minute on that one.
God, Frank.
Sorry. Well, I once made a joke about that in the podcast, and everyone, like our guests, were like, "I knew people who were there."
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you remember that?
That's a tough
I
one.
went, "That's what you get for listening to White Lion or whatever it was called."
Jeez.
And then
It was-
they were like, "My mom was there."
It was Great White.
Great
was
White.
Great White. Let's not bring Mike, whatever his name is, and Vito Bratta into this because they weren't part of Great White. Go ahead, Brian.
So anyway, the manager.
So you go in.
He goes, "You guys go do the show in the other room." And the booker was like, "Look," he goes, "Yeah, but you know what? There's other things in place. I gave these guys a guarantee." The manager goes, "Whatever you need, I'll take care of you guys. Don't worry about it." So I'm
Yeah.
like, "All right, that's all I needed to hear." We
Yeah.
go to the show. It fucking sucked because everybody was
Yeah.
there to see a band. You know, the people that showed up early were into it, but you know how it is. It's shitty.
Right.
So after the show, I needed $250. Okay, that's all I needed. He hands me $100 and he goes, "Here you go, man. I'm gonna get you more money later." And I go, "Okay." So now people are coming in to see the band. I'm thinking, all right, so they're just gonna take that door money, swing it over to comedy. Let me just count. Let me count like 30, 40 people, and then I know there's enough money at the door to cover me.
Right.
So like an hour later, I go up to the kid. I'm like, "Hey man, like I gotta get going." He goes, "Oh man," he goes, "I don't have any more money." And I go, "Okay." I go, "There's an ATM over there. You can just go get it." He goes, "I don't have anything in my account, and I only got like $4 to cover the tolls on the way home." And I go, "All right, well, why don't you just
You shouldn't be booking shows.
Yeah, I'm like,
then.
why don't you just go get the money from the guy that said the comedians are covered?" I'm like, "He said comedians are covered." He goes in, comes out maybe 15 minutes later. He goes, "Yeah, man, that guy, he's not going to give up any more money. I don't know what to do." I go, "You got to go back and get the money."
Yeah. Yeah. He said he was going to cover it.
Yeah, I'm
right.
like, it kind of puts me in a shitty spot. Where he goes, I don't know. I go, I go, look, I go, well, where's the guy, right? And so he's like, he's upstairs in the office. I walk upstairs to the office, knock on the door. He opens the door, and I just kind of walk in. I'm like, hey, man, just want to say thanks for doing the show. And I was just wondering if we could just get the rest of that money. That way I can hit the road. We're going to have an early morning. And he's like, I'm not giving you the money. I already gave him money, all this other stuff. And I go, look, I'm not going to leave the office unless I got some money.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, but you're going to have to. He goes, what if I could just call the fucking cops? I go, you're going to call the cops. They're going to come here. They're going to say, why is this guy in the office? And I'm going to say, I'm a comedian from Rhode Island. I'm going to give him my license. He's going to ask you if I performed downstairs. You're going to say yes, because I did. I go, and then they're going to make you just, whatever happens, happens.
Right.
I go, it turns into a bigger thing. He goes, look, this is like an hour going back and forth with the guy. Like going back and forth. Just, I got bills to pay and all this shit. And so he goes, dude, like, he should have just put you on, like, the show next month, man. Next month's show, I sold all the tickets. He's like, it's almost sold out. You should just come do that show. And I'm like, so wait a minute, you got the money for the next show already? He goes, yeah, I already sold the tickets for him.
Right.
And I go, well, just give me that money. I go, just give me that, and then don't give him the money. He goes, all right, yeah, that works. And then but that's how it went down. And I was just in that office, just advocating for myself.
For yourself, yeah, because it's like, no, I'm not going to drive back up to fucking Maine in a month to do a second show so I can get paid for the show I just did. That's what makes no sense.
To get paid the minimum you were guaranteed.
Right, exactly.
That's all. You weren't asking for more.
Yep.
You were just asking for what you were told you would get.
Yeah, so there was all that.
Yeah. So
Hey, Brian, what you doing?
My ADHD was in my way, so I had to put a thing in a box.
All right, I'm sorry to cut you guys off. I'm sorry.
no,
That's
fine.
all right.
That's fine.
We just muted you because it sounded like you were doing construction at your house
Sorry.
again.
So
Next time I'll just leave and come on 4 or 5 times.
Hey,
Welcome
some of us have weird. You know what it is? I keep
So
my phone
Frank,
keeps saying Chrome disabled the camera. Sorry, what was that? Go.
no, we were gonna say
The only thing disabled is you, Frank.
Is you, Frank?
he just gave us his funny bad gig. If I don't know, did you hear our actual explanation of the funny bad gig? It's the gig that's not so funny the night it's happening, but it's the story you tell to one-up people when they're giving you their funny bad gig.
Yeah, I haven't had any quite like that where like I'm getting stiffed or anything.
No,
But I
no,
just
just
had
any scenario
Just
that
a
the night of was not great.
Yeah. So all of these stories that I've told so far revolve around this. No, not all of them. Most of them revolve around the same person who booked all these shows. He's an old friend of mine who just would book terrible shows. So he calls me up and he goes,
we all have those friends. They're good friends, but they book terrible shows. Yeah.
And I think they all came from Gig Salad. So he goes, hey, I got us a great gig. It's at the University of Connecticut, right? So apparently there's some like college engineering like organization, and they do these competitions, and every year it's at a different college like in North America. And it was at UConn. So I was like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. There's like 1 billion people there. So let's do it. The money's pretty good. We'll get paid really well. So it was me and him, and I was going to host a show, and he was going to do like 15 in the middle. And then we got Brian Glowacki to close it out.
Yep.
And we got Brian only because it was like, we need somebody who can salvage what may or may not happen. So we got there. It was an engineering conference, and it's in a tent. So everything's just ground level. It's all concrete. And there's like 500 people in this tent. Wow. And this PA system my buddy brought was maybe good for a room that holds like 40 people. So as we're setting it up, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this isn't going to work. Like, I could have brought mine. It's much like, what are you doing? Yeah. And he's like, oh, it'll be fun. It'll be fine. They'll be quiet. It's like, they're not going to be quiet because they won't hear us, and they're 1,000 feet away from us. So he's setting it up. And as soon as I go up to start the show, I don't even know if I told a joke. And somebody who worked there, who was running it, was like, you got to keep it cleaner. And I was like, I just said, like, welcome to the show, So like, that's all I said. So then I did like a few minutes, and then I'm like, fuck this. And I brought him up. And at one point, somebody made a gesture in the audience. He wrongly assumed it was the person in charge, thought they were telling him to get off. So he just bailed like 5 minutes into his set.
Oh my God.
So then thankfully Glowacki was there, and he's like, you know, he's a better, like he can handle it. So he went up and he kind of brought it in a little bit, but even still, like he had to work hard. He was like walking into the crowd to yell to people to try to do crowd work because they couldn't fucking hear him.
Right.
It was a nightmare. And there was a lot of people to have a nightmare.
I'll tell you, Brian's Glowacki. I was doing a show one time where he was hosting, I was featuring, and there was a headliner who 10 minutes into his set flaked out and said, you know, was having like a panic attack. And the guy said, I can't do this, and walked off the stage. And I had left the room to go do. This was the early show of the night.
He was going to do coke in the back room.
Yeah, I had left to go get something to eat or go for a walk or something. And like I said, Brian was hosting because he was still newer, and Brian had to get back up on stage to fill the rest of the time.
Really?
Because there was no one else there.
That happened to me one time too.
And
Really?
I'll tell you, he did a really good job. The crowd liked him.
No, he was great. Yeah.
And he filled the time, and it was pretty damn impressive for someone put in that situation. He's only have to do really 20 minutes that night, and he ends up doing almost an hour between his original 20 and then the time he had to fill. And they liked him, and it went well. And I was pretty impressed by that when he did that night.
Yeah, he's great.
Brian, when did it happen to you?
It happened to me a couple of years ago. We were doing this weird. It was a treehouse show, so it was in one of those places.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Yeah, one of those places.
For fuck's sake.
Right? And,
Sorry, I'll be right back.
Fucking Frank.
I'm going to put a bullet in my fucking head. I'm going to kill myself. You're going to hear a gunshot in a few seconds.
Yeah, at least we won't see it.
Yeah, at least you won't interrupt my fucking story anymore.
No.
All right, so
I muted him.
Won't even hear the gunshot.
I won't even hear it.
I wish we could all be so lucky.
Yeah.
So the headliner was super tired. I was featuring. I went up. I did a half hour. Headliner goes up and he's like, you know, this fucking place. He goes, it's not even a real fucking club. You think you're doing a club? You show up at this fucking casino and you're in a fucking hallway.
Yeah.
Fuck this place. Fuck you. He goes, the money shit. He goes, I'm gonna make more money walking off with this microphone than I will if I just stayed and got paid. He goes, so you know what? Fuck it. I'll leave the mic. He puts the mic down on a table, walks out of the show, and and he forgot his coat on stage. So then he had to go back up on stage to get his coat.
Oh,
which was really funny. That was the best part. But then he left, and so the guy that booked me comes up to me. He goes, "Hey man," he goes, "Can you do any time?" The host had gone up to kill some of the time, and he goes, "Can you just do some time?" He goes, "Just do you know, whatever you can do." And I go, "Well, what do you need?" I go, "What time does the show need to end?" And he goes, "You know, just whatever." He goes, "I'd rather just have a good set." He goes, "You're already a half hour." You just go up and do it. I go, "Let's do this." I go, if you light me, I'll get off stage. I go, "If not, I'll just do whatever." And he goes, "It's perfect." And he lit me at another 45. I ended up doing an hour and a half that night.
Wow.
And fucking everybody that left, you know, was fucking like loving it. They thanked me. And then the guy goes, "I'm gonna throw you a couple extra bucks for the show tonight." And 2 days later, I got a check for $50.
That's comedy, baby.
I love
That is comedy.
I love it. Isn't it amazing?
Oh, gotta love
you
comedy.
step in, you fucking save the show, and you get an extra $50.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Gotta love comedy. Well, this was fun. Ace, glad you could join us for the last half hour.
I've been here an hour, motherfucker.
Yeah, Ace, good job, Ace. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you.
But Brian,
listen.
you guys, the Wicked Funny podcast is pretty much everywhere, right? People can download you guys
If
anywhere. So
go to IllinoisCockburn.com.
That's right. He bought that fucking website.
You go to IllinoisCockburn.com and you'll be all linked up with the Wicked Funny podcast. You can hear
exactly. And listen, you know, to our audience, here's the great thing about podcasts. Every podcast is different, and that's what I love about us and Wicked Funny. We're two totally different type of podcasts. Like these guys are more like topic based, and we're more interview based.
Right.
You can enjoy both. You should subscribe to both every week because I love listening to theirs. All of a sudden, I'm looking it through like the titles, and it's like, you know, Back to the Future, and I'm like, I gotta figure out what the fuck this one's about.
They come up with something different to talk about every week. They come at it from an angle you're not thinking of.
Again, they did,
and it's so funny.
2 to 3 full episodes on Katie's vagina, who they named Tom Hardy with an Australian accent.
That's right, baby.
It's some of the funniest shit, and I love their podcast, and that's why, when we were looking at like booking this month, I was like, you know what, I want to get Brian and Katie and Frank on because I want them to be able to talk about their podcast. We've had Brian on before. They've had us on their podcast. And you know what? That's what's great about the podcast community. We all want to help each other. You know, if we can get a couple of our listeners to listen to their podcast, they could get some of theirs to listen to ours. We're happy,
Definitely. So definitely check out their podcast wherever you download your podcast. You can find these guys. They are ranked on Apple on the charts because I follow them every week to see where they're at and see if we can catch up to them, and we can't seem to catch them. They're doing very well in the stand-up category.
I hope that was accurate.
It is. Trust me, it is. I text Ace every week when I check our rankings, and then I go, Wicked Funny is still ranked in the top 100 in stand-up. So, no, you guys are doing great because you do a great podcast.
But in all fairness, it's also different, too, because we're more ranked in the comedy
We're in comedy interviews category. You guys are in the stand-up category.
In just stand-up, exactly. So, but they're hilarious podcasts, very, very funny,
very entertaining.
So please check them out. Wicked Funny Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. They're on all the platforms.
And as stand-up is opening up again and shows are popping up everywhere, you got to get out and see a live show. And these guys are definitely comedians you want to go see. Katie, Frank, and Brian are hilarious comedians to see live on top of it.
Absolutely.
So definitely make it a point to go out and check them out.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being on, Brian. We'll talk to you soon.
I love you guys.
Thanks,
you
man.
too, buddy.
We love you too.
Great being here.
All right, stay in the green room. We'll be right back. We're gonna end the show and we'll come back and talk. All right. And I'm sorry I was late. I know this fucking day job gets in the way.
It does. We had fun. We had a fun
Every once in a
conversation
while.
waiting for you.
I actually watched it on the way here.
I tried to stall as long as possible to try to get you here.
No.
I even pretended your computer died to make it seem like,
Well, it's funny because Jen was watching. She goes, "Hey, Ace, welcome to the show."
Thank you, Jen.
And then we all know Scott's just in charge of editing.
Barely.
And then sadly, that line probably worked in some point for Butter. I don't know what that was. When
That
they
was
were talking
earlier
about
in the show.
And then we'll be very popular on Bumble and Tinder. And I'm not sure what that one is either, Jen. But listen, we really appreciate you guys watching. We hope you had. This was one of the most fun months that I have had doing this podcast in 5 years.
It's been unbelievable.
I'm looking up at the board, and we started the month with Cal Verducci. We had Jimmy Tingle on. We had Brian Kiley from the Conan O'Brien show. We had Sean Morey, who literally, as he said, lit the fuse for Boston comedy and then left. So he wasn't around for the heyday of Boston comedy.
But he started it.
And then tonight with our friends from Wicked Funny Podcast.
Great way to wrap up the month, man.
This has literally been an amazing month. We absolutely love it. And we hope you guys enjoy it too. Please, if you enjoy it, 2 quick things that you could do. 1, tell a friend about it. And 2, write a 5-star written review. We've gotten a bunch of 5-star written reviews over the past
couple
month.
new ones this week in the last couple of days.
Exactly. Couple of new ones. So
that will be entered for the hoodie.
Yes. So we'll be next week when we do our show next week, we will be pulling out of the hat.
Yep.
Everyone who did a 5-star written review will be pulling out of a hat, and the winner will get a Behind the Funny hoodie.
Their choice, live from the Aceman or the Behind the Funny hoodie of their choice.
Yep, exactly. And again, another shout out to our unofficial sponsors that, you know what, I think in July we need to work on them because we love Jefferson's, not because of any other reasons, but we love their product. And we hope that they will come on and be a sponsor because God knows we've been promoting the shit out of them for the past few years.
They've been profitable on us alone.
Yeah, no shit. Exactly. So listen, folks, thank you so much for listening this week. We've got a great July lined up. I'm already starting to line up guests for July, August, and September. we're going to have an amazing October. I've got some really special shows coming in October.
Yeah, unfortunately, October, I'm not going to be around.
Yeah, because Scott's a pussy and he gets scared of everything.
And
but
no, I got that thing and then the stuff after that. So I
that other thing.
Yeah, October's just a really bad month.
We're
going to
be scaring the shit out of Scott in
Fuck
October.
me.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it'll be
So
great.
I've already been talking to Jason Hawes from Ghost Hunters.
Yeah, because Tom Stewart's not enough.
No.
We got to get the one of the leading guys in the field.
Yep, we're gonna get Jason. We're gonna get Tom, and again, I've been talking to our friend David Naughton, who was not only from American Werewolf in London, the lead actor, but he had a disco hit back in the fucking 70s and a sitcom that he was on. And I was watching one of the episodes on YouTube, and I remember watching that show as a kid, and I'm so excited.
That's going to be cool.
So yeah, check it out. October is going to be amazing. So other than that, I can't say anything else other than we will see you
Next week.